What's happening, everybody? Boy Big Brando, and today let's talk about running a clothing brand using a heat press. Now, most of you guys that find my channel or watch my YouTube videos are either running your own clothing brand or thinking about starting your own clothing brand, or sometimes you just want to learn how to make t-shirts from home, and that sparks the idea for a clothing brand. Now, there's a whole nother group of people that watch my videos that only print for other people. Maybe they have Etsy stores, they're doing contract printing for a lot of other people. There are other ways to make money with your heat press, not just running a clothing brand. But for myself, running these brands, starting these brands is where I find most of my money. That's why I share this information. Now, the first thing that you always run into when looking into starting a brand using a heat press is the negativity that comes around the heat press. There are a lot of people out there, especially the traditional screen printer, that will always dog out or talk down on a heat press. That's not a professional way of making t-shirts. Quality sucks. You have limitations. That's no way to run your business or start a brand. First things first is people like to talk about quality, and they're somewhat right. But at the end of the day, you could have a whole screen print setup and still provide crappy prints also, and the quality could be horrible also, especially if you don't cure the ink correct, especially if you don't have the proper off contact, especially if your registration is off, especially if you're using the wrong inks. There's a lot of different things that you can do as a screen printer to provide a crappy product. It's not just the heat press, it's everybody. DTG, I see a lot of DTG printers out there that soak their shirt in pre-treatment where it's coming through the back or soaking through the back. I see a lot of them curing their prints horribly. You gotta remember, when something's not properly cured, like say if you over cure something, that's turning the ink brittle, that's making it crack. So to say only people with heat presses provide crappy prints, that's a false statement, because there's a lot of screen printers out there that provide crappy products themselves. Just because you have screen print equipment doesn't make you better than anybody else. You still have to cure your print properly. Same goes for the heat press. When we heat up a garment using transfers, whether it's a plastisol transfer, water-based transfer, DTF transfer, vinyl, doesn't matter what it is, it has to be cured properly. And when you do it properly, your print will outlive the t-shirt, just like a traditional screen printer would do when they cure their ink properly. See what I mean? It's all based on the user, not the equipment, but the actual user operating the equipment. So if you do your due diligence and make sure that you're curing your transfer, your vinyl, your print to the t-shirt correctly, quality is no longer an issue. So it starts there first with the actual user, not the equipment, but the user. Now let's talk about transfers versus traditional screen printing. Traditional screen printers will talk down on transfers all day long. There's probably gonna be some of those traditional screen printers in my comments talking crap about transfers. It's been like that since I got on YouTube, and even way before I got on YouTube. That's just always been the constant debate. Over the years, technology evolves. Now you have multicolor transfers that have way better print clarity and is way lighter on a t-shirt than traditional screen printing. So to say that the print is no good or it's heavy on a t-shirt is false. I have a Supacolor video where I compare Supacolor to traditional screen print, same exact design, printed on the same exact t-shirts. I show how they wash, and then I also show how much they weigh. And the Supacolor transfer obviously is way lighter on the t-shirt than the traditional screen printing. So to say that a transfer is heavier on the t-shirt than traditional screen printing is false. I've shown that in a video already. Print clarity. I've shown butter smooth gradients. I've shown sharp, opaque lines. I've shown drop shadow that look exactly like they look on the computer. So to say that the print clarity is unmatched is crazy too. If not, it looks a lot cleaner and sharper as a transfer. Now on top of all that, let's talk about all of these negative comments that not just come from screen print shop owners or DTG shop owners, but from your friends and family. A lot of your friends and family might not be hit or privy to print technology now, so they're telling you, oh, don't get a heat press because that's horrible quality. I know so-and-so with a heat press and his t-shirt sucked. Just because their one experience sucked, now they're trickling that negative energy down to you, trying to change your mind. And that's cool if you value that person's opinion, but you have to remember this is your business, not their business, yours. You have to do what's best for you. If your budget allows you to start with a heat press, start with a heat press. I'm living proof that it can be done with a heat press. I run my own brands using a heat press and transfers. I also print for other people, and I show it all the time using a heat press and transfers. This business is sustainable and it is scalable. A lot of people look at this business as a heat press as a starting point and then scaling up and eventually graduating to screen print equipment or graduating to a DTG printer. That's not necessarily an upgrade. It's just buying new equipment. That's all it is. People think just because you print out of your house or out of your garage or out of your dorm room or bedroom or dining room, wherever you're setting up your heat press. Just because you move into a space now, you need to buy new equipment because you don't want to use that home stuff in your new space. That ain't it either. You use whatever you're comfortable with. You use whatever you're profitable with. That's all that matters. Buying new equipment doesn't mean nothing. The same press I was using at home is the same press you've seen at that other shop. It's the same press you see using next door. It's the same exact heat press. The same vinyl cutter I use at home is the same vinyl cutter I have here. The same transfer companies I was using are the same transfer companies I use now. Is my business scaling or is it plateauing? It's scaling. Is my business sustainable? It's very sustainable. So it can be done. There's a lot of hard work that comes with it, but that's what we get into this business for. Is to put the work in, to get our hands dirty. That's how we make our money. See, a lot of people think they buy the equipment, they sit back, and orders just start flowing in. That's not how it works. Once you get your equipment in, now the hard work starts. How are you going to get the business? How are you going to start printing t-shirts? What designs you're going to be printing on the t-shirts? How you're going to market those same t-shirts? All of that stuff is part of the business. Just because you have the equipment does not necessarily mean the work just starts flowing in. So remember, if you're starting your business and you wanted to run a clothing brand and you said, hey, here's somebody on YouTube doing it with a heat press, I want to do it too, go for it, because it can be done. I'm living proof that it can be done. There's a lot of other content creators out here that show that it can be done. And as a good example to close this video out for you, there are a lot of your favorite entertainers, a lot of your favorite streetwear brands and activewear brands are selling t-shirts with transfers on them. I know because I've seen it firsthand walking into a lot of these transfer companies. A lot of these companies have huge contracts, and those contracts mean they're using the same transfers that you can use on their merch. Like I said, a lot of your favorite entertainers have their merch printed with the heat press and transfer. So if it's good enough for those entertainers to sell hoodies for $150, $180 with transfers, the same transfers you can buy, if it's good enough for them, why can't it be good enough for you? And I remember a couple years ago, I shared this on Patreon before with screenshots, and it was a really well-known streetwear brand that showing them using a heat press and transfers laid out on a table for their brand with their company logos on it. And they were showing that they were using a heat press and transfer. Like I said, this was a couple years ago, and I shared it on Patreon. I took a screenshot when I seen it, shared it to Patreon just to let my Patreon following know that if this huge brand can use a heat press and transfers also, they can use it too. Alright, if you got any questions, leave it in the comments. Follow me on Instagram, BigBrandoTV. Catch you on the next one, man. Yeah.